why wouldn't I want to self-publish and take the easy way out? Well, because it is the easy way out.
This video has rightfully been torn apart on TikTok already, both for its blatant contempt for self-published authors, but also for the way it misrepresents what traditional publishing is like. And part of the problem is Jodie is out of touch. She has been an established author since the 90s. She doesn't actually know what the experience of getting herself traditional published now in the 2020s is like for authors who are just starting out. For example, talking about how traditional publishers might handle the marketing. And for the vast majority of traditionally published authors now, that isn't true. They have to do their own marketing. The only people who get their marketing done for them are the slim few select that traditional publishers choose to be their bestsellers. But I thought this would be a good opportunity to talk about what goes into publishing one of my books. The 5th one comes out tomorrow, because I think it will help people getting started on the indie publishing journey to know what kind of workload they're looking at. So naturally, it starts with getting an idea and sitting and writing. And for me, that takes months because I write in short bursts. Writing isn't a primary thing I do. It's something that I get up to generally on holiday. But the complicated part, beyond the writing, for which there's a huge amount of advice on how to get that done online, comes once the first manuscript is written. So this is after whatever you have to do to get to the point where you've got a finished piece of work in front of you, which you've gone over and it makes sense to you and you're happy with it and you want to get it out there. And for me, the first step of the next process is working with a development editor. And for that, I use Salt and Sage Publishing. I go with a light development edit because that's how much I can afford on my budget. And that costs around £150 per 10,000 words. So after taxes, they set me back around £300, a little over £300. And that process takes 3 weeks, during which time I'm setting up the next stage of the process, which for me is working with a Scots language editor. My Scots language consultant is Gillian Hammett from Dark Sky Publishing, and this is a much later stage than most people will get in touch with research experts when they're writing. She also does a light proofread at the same time. Generally, this all costs around £100 and takes around about a week, but I need to line that up so that that is ready to go when my development edit's back and I've gone back over the work for that development edit. So that's a bit of time and calendar juggling to do. But whilst the book is going through that process, I'm designing the cover for it. That is something I do largely using stock images. Generally, for putting together a cover, I spend about £50 on stock images. I'm lucky, I've got a background in graphic design. That means I can do my own covers and cut that cost and calendar juggling out of the equation. Most indie authors are better off signing up with someone who does those covers professionally. That can cost you, depending on the quality and expertise you're looking at, anywhere from £50 to £500. The piece of cover art I got commissioned for my full novel that will coming sometime next year cost over £800. This is very much a you get what you paid for industry. If you want a cover that seizes people's attention and will deliver your work in the best possible packaging, you need to pay a lot of money. That piece of art is now amongst the most expensive things I own, and it's for a book cover. Generally, whilst my book is away for its Scots language edit, is when I'm testing that cover and the ideas behind that cover with friends of mine. So I might be testing different versions of it, tweaking it, until I'm happy with it, at which point I'll announce the cover at about the same time that Scots language edit comes back. This book then goes away again after its Scots language edit to a friend who beta reads and proofreads it. Fortunately, I have a friend who just loves reading fantasy and does this for free. And he writes fantastic commentary all the way through, which I really enjoy reading, but also tears it apart where it doesn't work in a way that's somewhat more brutally honest than I'd get from my editors. Because he reads so much fantasy, he knows really well, just as a fan, as a reader, what works, what doesn't, what tropes are a bit too common, etc. While he's doing that, which takes a few weeks, I am setting out the formatting. So generally, I use a copy from a previous book I've published, but what this requires is a lot of research into what are the publishing standards for your country. For example, the UK and the USA have different standards for how large a book will be, and you need to make sure that your documents you're uploading to whatever website you're using to publish this use the right sizes. I made this mistake early on. I ended up with several books that were different sizes. It doesn't look professional. You can also hire someone to do this step for you. It's not too expensive, but again, it's an added cost and it depends on your budget. Then, once that comes back, the cover's ready, it's formatted. I copy all this new proofread material into this new format after I've gone through it and made any changes I need to make. Then that gets uploaded to whatever distribution platform I'm using. So Amazon KDP and Draft Digital are my two separate platforms. Amazon KDP simply because Amazon is the dominant place for selling work online, whether it's in paperback or an ebook. Draft Digital because then I'm giving people a wide range of options of where they can buy their work. Not everyone likes buying from Amazon, and indie bookshops especially will generally refuse to take stuff that's published through Amazon, entirely justifiably. So using both is useful. Just untick Amazon when you're going to Draft Digital. That costs a bit of money on the Draft Digital publishing side of things. Amazon doesn't charge anything. Also, both of them also provide free ISTP numbers. You need these in order to publish on a wider market and be able to send it to libraries, etc. If you're buying your own reference numbers, that also costs a chunk of money. So then, after all of this process, the book is ready to go out there. After reformatting the cover into several different formats, sizes, and testing them again and again to make sure that they show correctly, because it turns out that different distribution outlets require different formats, different sizes. For anyone curious, I use mostly Microsoft PowerPoint with those stock images to make my covers, with image editing programs like Photoshop for anything that needs to be a little bit more finesse, like managing transparency. Okay, book's done. It's been edited, it's been proofread, it's got the right cover, it's ready to go. I write a blurb, I write an acknowledgements page, I write a foreword if it needs one, I add in content warnings if I've been advised to do so by my development editors, and then after all of that comes the marketing, which means maintaining several different social media platforms, constantly posting in order to maintain an audience. And if you've got the budget, investing into advertising. And the best platform by far I found for investing into for advertising is Facebook. And it doesn't feel great, but if you're looking for bang for your buck advertising, it's the best way to do it. I also use a couple of advanced reader copy sites which charge you for every time someone downloads one of your books to read it in exchange with an expectation that they put up a review. Book Sirens is the main one I use. It charges me $2 per book downloaded. That's where I get a lot of my advanced reviews and is one of the most worthwhile investments I've done. Other advertising platforms can be Google Ads on Amazon itself, but some of the ones people find is best is investing directly on advertising with book bloggers, on BookTok, on book websites, places where people tend to go if they enjoy the genre that you write in. I've also found one of the best places to sell my work is at conventions, and I've now had author tables at 2 conventions this year. All that adds up really fast. It's a huge time sink beyond just writing the work. Your book simply will not sell if you don't have any reviews, or if the reviews are too low. If you've got reviews down in the low 3s out of 5s, you're going to struggle. So the quality needs to be good as well. And after all that, after doing this for almost 5 years now, I have just about broken even on my first entry of 5 books. The others aren't even close. It's expensive, it's hard work, and it requires some degree of talent to get anywhere with it. The idea it is an easy way out is complete nonsense. And anyone who wants to be blogging about writing on things like TikTok or their blog should at least have looked into it first. But I hope this has been helpful for anyone who's been considering indie publishing or is in the first steps of their journey.